Have you ever really imagined what it feels like to turn 80? Not just the number, but the feeling of 80. See, most of us grow up thinking about our 30s, our 50s, maybe even retirement. But 80, that's a chapter most people don't picture until one day they wake up and they're in it. And here's the thing no one really talks about. Turning 80 doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't feel like a celebration of wisdom or freedom. It arrives quietly, almost like life gently flipping to a new chapter without telling you first. You may have been strong your whole life, independent, always there for everyone else. But after 80, something shifts. You begin to see truths that no one prepared you for. Not because you're weak, but because this stage of life carries a different kind of gravity. And the truth? No one teaches us how to grow old well. We're taught how to plan, how to hustle, how to succeed. But aging, that part is left blank. So what happens when you finally reach the years that no one warned you about? You begin to face quiet truths about your body, your relationships, your memories, and the speed at which life moves. But here's the hope. When you understand these truths, you start to live differently, more gently, more fully. You stop trying to fight time, and instead, you learn to walk with it. This video is not about fear, it's about clarity. Because sometimes knowing what lies ahead can help us meet it, not with dread, but with a kind of peace we didn't know we were looking for. So let's begin. 7 quiet truths we only start to understand after 80. Part 1. 80 hits like a quiet shock. Nobody really expects 80. You can plan all you want, have your finances in order, eat healthy, stay active, even keep your mind sharp. But then one morning, something shifts. You look in the mirror, or maybe it's not even the mirror. Maybe it's just the way people look at you differently, or the way you suddenly feel invisible in a room. And it hits you. I'm not who I used to be. Not in a dramatic way, not in a loud way. It's more like a quiet jolt, a soft realization that sneaks up on you and lingers. See, 80 doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't arrive with applause or some wise old feeling like the movies make it seem. It comes with a pause, a kind of stillness. And for many, that stillness feels like a shock. Because no matter how strong, prepared, or independent you've been your whole life, this stage is different. It's like time suddenly becomes more visible. You start to notice how much of it has passed and how little might be left. And that can shake even the most grounded soul. But here's the thing no one tells you. That feeling of shock? It's okay. It's not weakness. It's just the body and mind adjusting to a new chapter, a slower one, a quieter one. And acceptance, that's the doorway to peace. Because once you stop resisting it, once you stop measuring yourself against who you used to be, you begin to feel something else. Relief, permission, freedom to just be without all the pressure. And maybe, just maybe, that's when life begins again, in a different, softer way. Part 2. The social world gets smaller. One of the quietest changes after 80 is how small the world starts to feel. Not the planet, not the cities or the streets, but your personal world, the circle of voices, faces, and connections that once filled your days. You notice the phone rings less often. Some of your closest friends aren't around anymore. And the ones who are, they may be dealing with their own health, their own grief, their own quiet days. Your children, your grandkids, they love you, of course they do. But they're busy, really busy. Work, parenting, life. You don't want to bother them. And somehow that weekly call turns into a monthly one. And sometimes even that feels like a miracle. But here's the truth that stings a little. It's not that anyone meant to leave you behind. It's just that life moves fast for them and slow for you. And that difference in speed creates distance. Even when you're just a phone call apart, you sit at the kitchen table, remembering how full the house used to be. Laughter, noise, movement. Now, the stillness echoes, and it's easy to feel forgotten. But here's something to remember. You are not alone in feeling this way. Millions of older adults face the same quiet, invisible shift in connection. And while the world may not come knocking like it used to, you still have the power to reach out. Send a message, join a group, invite someone over for tea. Loneliness isn't weakness, it's a signal, a reminder that we still want love, closeness, and community. So don't wait for the world to come to you. Find little ways to go toward it again. Even the smallest conversation can crack open the silence and let a little light in. Part 3. Small health issues become big battles at 80. Your body stops whispering and starts speaking loud and clear. Things that once seemed minor now carry real weight. A little cold can knock you out for weeks. A simple fall, it's not just a bruise anymore. It's hospital visits, physical therapy, and a fear that lingers every time you take the stairs. You start to wonder, can I still trust my body? It used to feel like an ally. Now it feels unpredictable, and sometimes even like a stranger. But here's something important. Your body isn't failing you. It's just aging. It's doing the best it can with what it has left. And maybe instead of fighting it or feeling betrayed, it's time we shift our perspective. Think about it. Your body has carried you through 8 decades, through joy, heartbreak, work, family, illness, love. It's weathered storms you've long forgotten. And yes, it's slower now, more fragile. But that doesn't make it your enemy. It makes it your oldest companion. So what if we began treating our bodies the way we treat an old friend? With more patience, more kindness? You wouldn't scold a dear friend for needing rest. You'd offer them a chair, a warm cup of tea, a gentle hand. That's how we need to care for ourselves now. Not with frustration, but with understanding. So when your body aches or stumbles or tires too soon, pause. Don't curse it. Thank it. And ask, what do you need, old friend? Then listen, gently, carefully, because healing at this stage isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and sometimes the most powerful medicine is simply compassion. Part 4. Losing presence in the social space. There comes a moment, sometime after 80, when you realize the room feels different. You're still here. You show up, you speak, you care. But somehow your voice doesn't land the same. You tell a story, and people glance at their phones. You share a thought, and the conversation moves on like you never spoke. It's not that they don't love you. It's not even personal. The world has just sped up. Fast conversations, faster decisions, lives lived in scrolls and screens. And here you are, moving a little slower, choosing your words more carefully, maybe even repeating a thought because it matters. And yet, that slower pace, it holds wisdom. Here's the hard truth. It hurts to feel invisible, to sense that your presence doesn't ripple the way it used to. But here's another truth. You are not less valuable just because you are less heard. In fact, your voice might be the one that's most needed, especially in a noisy world. You've lived through eras others only read about. You've seen love change forms. You've known silence that wasn't empty and patience that wasn't weakness. So don't disappear. Speak up, even if you have to speak twice, even if you feel ignored the first time. Because your presence, your stories, your grace, your survival is a quiet form of power. And to anyone listening right now, if there's an elder in your life, pause. Really listen, because some of the most valuable truths are spoken softly and slowly. Let's not let age turn into absence. Let's turn presence into legacy. Part 5. Everyday life. Quietly shrinks. At some point in your 80s, you might look around and realize your world has quietly gotten smaller. Not all at once, not with any loud announcement, but gradually one errand skipped here, one invitation declined there. Until one day, you notice you haven't left the house in 3 days. The grocery store feels unfamiliar. The cafe you used to love has new faces behind the counter, and you're no longer greeted by name. It's not that life has abandoned you. It's just shifted. The places, the pace, even the people, it all changes. And at first, this shrinking of life can feel like loss. But if you pay close attention, it can also feel like refinement. What once was noise becomes clarity. What once was routine becomes sacred, because in the stillness, you begin to notice things again. The morning light through the curtains, the comfort of your favorite chair, the way your tea tastes when no one's rushing you, and most of all, the value of what remains. You learn to treasure the phone call that does come, the friend who still knocks on your door, the days your body still says, let's get up and try. There's a kind of quiet magic in this stage of life. Not the grand kind, but the kind that lives in small, meaningful details. So if you're feeling like your world is shrinking, ask yourself, what is becoming more precious as it does? And if someone you love is going through this, don't just assume they're fine at home. Visit, call, bring the world to them, even just for a while. Because even in a smaller life, there's still so much room for meaning. Part 6. The body becomes unpredictable. There's something that happens after 80 that no one really warns you about. One morning, you wake up full of energy. Your mind is clear, your steps are steady. You feel ready to take on the world. And then the next day, it's like your body forgot how to be your body. You're exhausted. Every movement feels heavier. And there's no clear reason why. It's frustrating, confusing, sometimes even a little scary. You might wonder, did I do something wrong? Is this the beginning of a decline? Will I ever feel normal again? Here's the truth. Your body isn't betraying you. It's evolving. At this age, consistency isn't always guaranteed. Some days your tank is full. Other days you're running on fumes before noon. But unpredictability doesn't mean helplessness. It just means adaptation. So what if, instead of fighting those off days, we learn to honor them? What if, instead of pushing through with guilt, we gave ourselves permission to rest with grace? Planning becomes less about rigid schedules and more about flexible rhythms. You learn to ask, what kind of day is today? And respond with kindness instead of control. And slowly, trust begins to rebuild. Not in your past strength, but in your current wisdom. Because real strength at this stage isn't about pushing harder. It's about listening deeper. Your body may not follow your plans anymore, but it still speaks to you. And if you treat it not like a failing machine, but like an old friend doing its best, something shifts. You realize adapting isn't giving up. It's growing up, even at 80, even now. Part 7. Aging doesn't mean useless. It means deeper. Aging gets such a bad reputation, doesn't it? Somewhere along the way, society convinced us that growing older means fading away. That if you're not fast, flashy, or constantly achieving, you no longer matter. But here's what I've come to believe, deeply and truly. Aging isn't becoming useless. It's becoming profound. Yes, there's loss of people, of routines, of the strength you once had without even thinking about it. But aging also gives you something no youth ever could. Perspective. You no longer need to keep up with the pace of the world. You get to step back and see it. You don't need to chase trends or prove your worth, because your worth is no longer about what you do, but who you are. You're not running anymore. You're arriving. And maybe for the first time, you're arriving as your truest self. Every wrinkle on your face, it's a story, a lesson, a chapter you survived. Every scar, a reminder of what you overcame. You've loved, lost, learned, endured, forgiven. That is not weakness. That is depth. That is wisdom. And it's something no one in their 20s, 30s, or even 50s can fully grasp, because it comes only with time. So no, growing older doesn't strip you of value. It reveals it. You are not less than because you've aged. You are more because you've lived. And that, my friend, is a kind of richness no bank account or trophy shelf could ever match. Conclusion. Aging is not an ending. Aging, it's not the end of the road. It's just a new path. Slower, yes, but also more mindful, more intentional. It's the moment when life stops rushing you forward and finally gives you permission to pause, to breathe, to notice, to live not just for achievement, but for meaning. You see, growing older doesn't mean fading into silence. It means learning how to listen to the quieter things, the softness of morning light, the comfort of routine, the simple joy of a warm cup of tea and a memory that makes you smile. And here's something I want you to remember. Truly, deeply remember. You are not alone. There are millions walking the same road, millions feeling the same shifts, the same questions, the same quiet ache of change. And just knowing that, just knowing others are out there too, can be the thread that keeps your heart open, even when the world around you feels like it's closing in. Because when your heart stays open, you're still growing. And that is the quiet power of aging. Resilience without noise. Strength without spectacle. It's not about being who you used to be. It's about being fully present with who you are now. Scars, stories, softness and all. So let me say this to you. If no one has said it in a while, you still matter. You still belong. And this chapter you're living, it may just be the one that teaches you the most about what it really means to be alive. So if this message spoke to your heart, if you felt even a little less alone just by hearing these words, then I invite you, gently, to stay connected. Subscribe to this channel so we can keep walking this journey together. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, your story, or just say hello. And if you know someone who might need to hear this today, send it their way. Let's remind them, too, that they're not forgotten. Aging is not a solo act. It's a quiet symphony, made beautiful when we listen and when we share. Thank you for being here. And until next time, take care of your heart. You deserve that kind of love, always.